All right. So I did DM you about this. I don't know if you have any strong thoughts. I don't play Pokemon Go. I did briefly when the game came out several years ago.
Sure.
Um, but there's been a major update and people are pissed. People are pissed because they purposely made the characters ugly. They've changed everybody's avatar,
Uh
and they uglified them. And people are upset about this because they made these beautiful characters and now they look like shit. So what do you
well,
think about this? Is this like why do they do this? Why did they purposely make them ugly? I just don't get it.
I I mean, to me, there's I
I
don't care so much, but I can give you I can offer some reasoning as to why I think they do it. I think that to some extent, they do it because everything is sort of oriented towards ad friendly. Now, Pokemon Go is a mobile game; it's not a Switch game, and Pokemon Go is oriented towards making money on microtransactions and ongoing. I don't remember if there's ads in it or not, but I know that there are microtransactions in it. Um, I think that it's oriented towards being as family friendly as possible in that marketplace. I don't think that it's good, but it's not something that matters to me as much. Like I care more about, if I'm completely honest, Pokemon Go is like nothing to me. I just don't care about it at all.
same here.
Um,
But I do think it's bullshit that these people got fucked over.
I don't love that they. I don't regard it as them necessarily being fucked over
I mean, yeah, I
because I
do.
don't.
Okay, people have been playing this game for almost a decade, right? Remember Pokemon Go to the polls. So like at least since 2016, people have been playing this game and they put so many hours into it and now they're like, well, look, we can't have any beautiful women in the game, okay, because it's sexist, it's not family friendly, whatever the fuck, so we got to make all the characters look ugly on purpose. I think it's bullshit. I think that those people are
I
right
would
to be
argue
upset.
that the characters didn't really look very beautiful before, per se.
Some of them some
They
of them
didn't.
looked okay.
Maybe,
I've seen some pictures
but
that
like
look
to
that
me,
look
they
good.
all look kind of cartoony, and they still look kind of cartoony. I don't know that I regard it as fucking over. I regard it as annoying. Like kind of like I don't regard it positively, but I don't regard it like as an extreme problem. Just like because it is ultimately their property. I don't,
Yeah,
and this isn't to
legally they can
defend
do
it
it, but we should criticize them.
legally. And this is to be fair. I mean, there's an argument against whether or not they should be the sole like control over something that is ultimately very much powered by the users. Um, like without the users, there's no game. One could argue that there should be some um, recourse for the people playing the game, and I would agree. I certainly I would not argue against that. I would agree with it. Um, but I think this is actually a smaller example in that type of a thing because we have seen that same type of situation play out previously in more extreme ways, in my opinion, the uglification scenario, so to speak.
Would you want to give me some examples? Because I know everybody talks about this. People don't like it. A lot of people don't. But what do you
Off
think
the
are like the
top of my
strongest
head,
ones?
well, I don't have off the top of my head any examples. I was
What
saying
about
that
what
based.
about PB and Mass Effect Andromeda?
Oh, Mass Effect
Or was that just
Andromeda.
incompetence? I don't know if that was necessarily on purpose.
Well, I don't know either,
But also, is
but
it? It's only certain scenes. I think I don't know if that's every scene that she's in, or if it's just like the lighting and stuff too. Because I'm
it's
not.
tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because so it's hard to believe that no one saw it. I guess that's where I feel
Like
like
they have testers. Like
incompetence seems like it seems very incompetent, but at the same time I also think like how did nobody catch this? How did nobody catch any of it? Because there's so much wrong with that game that somebody should have caught.
their
But
character
that's
creation's decent though. I will say because I made my writer look hot as fuck, and I play as female characters usually. But
Well, I get that. I often play as female. I don't always play as female, but I often play as female characters, and I do the same. I attempt to make them as hot as possible because why wouldn't you? Why would that not be what you do? But I don't know. I think that's a good example, but it's unfortunately an example where I do think it's difficult to nail down the exact like underlying reason for it to happen. You know?
Well, you said family friendly, and maybe for like Nintendo that is. I think there's also like this cultural zeitgeist or idea that like we can't have beautiful women in games. Even Liana Kerzner, who's a feminist media critic, talks about this stuff. Where it's
Yeah.
like instead of feminist critique, like through like Anita Sarkeesian and people like that, instead of that expanding the possibility of the roles that women can inhabit within games, it shrunk it down. She calls it the brunette. I don't remember exactly what she says, but like the brunette with the ponytail. Like everyone looks like the like Lara Croft in the 2016 reboot. Now, and I don't know if that's like too far off. But like, there's also like this idea that like, oh, well, sexy characters is bad, especially sexy women. Sexy men characters are fine though. Um, and then like even all these articles coming out about Stellar Blade attacking that.
Yeah, that's been kind of nonsense. I mean, I do think like it's pretty obviously goon fuel the game, and I think that uh, I think that there's some degree of maybe they're taking advantage of people with porn addiction with that game in some respects.
Well, there's no
But I'm not
microtransactions, so
Well, what I'm saying, I'm not criticizing the actual having of that character in a game though. Like it's your game. Like you should be able to do that. I do see some kind of demented behavior defending the game or maybe overemphasizing how important the game is. Um but I don't know. When I get into these types of situations where it is a lot of this really does come down to personal taste. It's hard for me to really come down hard on people who are for the ability to express yourself in different ways. You know what I mean? I think that you know, if you're going to say like we need to have diverse blah blah blah, you do have to say like it's all right to have the goon fuel, because that is a type of person, whether you like it or not. Regardless of whether it's sexy or not sexy, there's no such thing as a cartoon that is true to life in proportions. It's not. That doesn't exist. Like you will emphasize some aspect of it, whether that be um, tits and ass or it be uh, stomach or whatever. Like there's going to be things that are exaggerated because that's the thing the character's supposed to focus on. That's the aesthetic of the character, and it's going to be the focus of the character. So I think ultimately, I don't like the idea of restricting creativity, but at the same time, that brings us into well, it's their game. They get to do what they want. I will say, I think the family friendly stuff, it's more, it's something that you would more see on mobile game stores than when we talk about family friendly. Yeah, Switch,
but
sure.
it's been out for like 8 years. Like, how many parents complained? Oh my God, my kid's playing a character
My
that looks
guess
too
would be none.
attractive. I don't know. I feel like it's
My
not like
guess would be
it's not
none.
like they're Bayonetta, right? I mean,
No, and also Bayonetta's fine. Like there's no
yeah,
problem with
Bayonetta's fine
Bayonetta.
too. I agree, a thousand
Like
percent.
there's no issue with Bayonetta. Like there's no issue with in all
Quiet
on all
either.
honesty.
She
Like
breathes
could
through her
yeah no.
skin. Okay.
Well, people will regret what they said about her.
Well,
What was it Kojima said?
oh yeah,
It was really funny what Kojima said.
well, if
People will regret their words.